Hello everyone, Mobius1 here with, as the title says, the SWGEmu Publish 10 patch notes. It's hard to believe that Publish 9 was merged way back in August 2017, but here we are with a whole new list of changes to go over. I like doing these videos for a couple of reasons. Firstly, not a whole lot of people like reading. However, if you're someone who hates listening to me and would rather just read them yourself, then why did you click on this video? Excuse me. Then I'll have a link to the official forum post in the video description down below, so you can click that and read it yourself. Sorry, I don't know what came over me right there. Anyway, the second reason I like to do these videos is to highlight some of the changes that are worth bringing attention to. Now, I've looked over these notes a couple times, and there aren't really a ton of changes that need explaining. They're pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to point out the ones that I think are worth mentioning. So here we go. The Publish 10 patch notes. Alright, so first up we have a title, Publish 10, The Rise of Galaxies. Sounds pretty cool. System changes, of course, we have improved server stability, various server optimizations, and fixed memory leaks. Now maybe I just don't play enough or play in, massive groups of people often enough, but I personally never really had any really... You want large server stability issues. Now we did just have that Pub10 stress test on the TC Prime server where we stress tested the crap out of that server, and they took it down and brought it back up, and it was smooth as glass after we basically deadlocked it. So I'm not sure that had to have helped with something. I haven't seen that many people gather in the same place on Basilisk in a long time, but it's good to know now that if they ever do some sort of major event like that on Bassi, that the server can actually handle it. So that's pretty exciting. Under Spawn/World, we have added no build zones for the Force-Sensitive Village Phase 3 base locations. Now in Phase 3 of the Jedi Village, there is a quest to go out and capture an enemy like commander from a Sith base. There's several Sith bases around the planet Dathomir, and they all have static locations, even though they're not there unless the village is in Phase 3. So I think it's smart to have no build zones at the locations where those bases are, otherwise people could have factories or harvesters or something. Now you can't build houses on Dathomir, but you can still build installations in the base to, I guess, maybe grief players when the base pops up. Like maybe they could have found a way to block entry to the base, perhaps. I don't know. But this is good preventative thinking. I don't know if this change came about because of somebody using it to kind of exploit or something, but it's good to know that they can't do that anymore. A little further down we have Min's guard now properly spawns and assists her when she is attacked. To be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I did Min. It's been years, so I didn't really know this was an issue. But it seems like they're doing a couple other aggro-related issues, fix some factional NPCs failing to aggro players. So again, just kind of cleaning up some of the code related to AI. Pretty big one here, second from the bottom under Spawns or World, is issue preventing the hero of Tatooine Wild Bladeback Boar from respawning after being killed has been corrected. And even underneath that, potential case fixed where the hero of Tatooine pirate leader and pirates would not respawn. I've seen a lot of posts on the forums the past year or so about people complaining does the boar even spawn? I've been looking for him for a week and haven't found him. And what's really hard is the Hero of Tatooine quest is designed in such a way that the NPCs that you have to find are not always spawned. They go through a 1 to 3 hour cycle where they may not be in the world at all. So something like this is really hard to test for as a player. So I'm glad that, all those people that were complaining on the forums and being told, oh, shut up, it's really hard to find them, just keep going, keep looking. I'm glad to see that all those complaints were actually justified and that they did find an issue, and now that that issue is fixed, hopefully we won't see that many posts on the forums anymore. Alright, let's scroll down a little bit, look at creatures/NPCs/AI. Not a whole lot of important stuff here. Added hue color variations to various creatures, that's good. Gives a little bit of variety when we're killing things. Fixed various creatures or NPCs getting stuck on cell boundaries when pathing, that's pretty important. Fixed issue allowing creatures to be dizzied and kept knocked down. I'm not 100% on this, but the way I read that is there was an issue where we could dizzy and knock a creature down and it would be stuck knocked down and now it can't? Or is this saying that creatures can be dizzied and then when they're knocked down, they stay down until the dizzy is up. I don't think that's the way it works. I think there was an issue. That issue is no longer there. So to those of you who have been abusing this issue of dizzying a creature and knocking it down, don't expect it to stay on the ground as long as it used to. Fixed various factional NPCs' chances to hit. Doesn't say whether it fixed it to hit higher or lower, but for somebody who farms factional NPCs, you might notice a difference there with how often you're being hit. Added a missing system message when a player attempts to loot an empty corpse, and prevented the loot window from opening when a corpse has no items to loot. I guess that's good for new players who are wondering why they can't loot a corpse with nothing on it. Now a system message will tell you that that there's nothing there. And now on to some of the bigger stuff. Events, dungeons, theme parks, and quests. Added Bastine elections. Now I'm going to do a video on the Bastine elections because I'm personally not that familiar with it, but I did do a little bit of reading and people sent me a couple of links to look at. And it is, as I thought, a side quest, basically, that you can do out of Bastine on Tatooine, where you can vote for one of two, I think, people running for mayor. And if the person you vote for wins the election, then you're given some sort of random reward. Some of the rewards are, like, extremely rare. I think I saw a forum post saying that one of them was only, like, reported being given out 5 times on live. Like, it's something, some ridiculous drop rate for these paintings or something. So this is just another one of those things I'm going to add to my to-do list of SWG videos as something that I need to do a dedicated video for, the Bastine elections. So look for that eventually. Then immediately after that, we have rewrote the Warren screenplay, fixed many issues players were having when trying to earn the badges achieved here, and rewrote the Geonosian Cave screenplay and fixed various bugs within. Now, I haven't talked to any of the staff members to get specifics on what was changed or fixed in these 2 instances, but either way, anytime they're fixing bugs, good job. A little further down, badge is granted to all those in the group when completing the Corellian Corvette, and reward is now given to all group members from Mission NPC after completing the Corellian Corvette. Believe it or not, I still haven't done the Corellian Corvette since it was added in Publish 9, so it's been like a year and a half. Yeah, I'll get around to that eventually. It's another thing on my to-do list. But if you guys have been trying to do it and have been having trouble getting your badge for it, try it again. Now you should be able to get your badge. Towards the bottom of that, fixed bug with Death Watch Bunker voice control bomb droid. Now, some of you might remember a little while ago, I did a very detailed DWB jetpack crafting guide. And in that guide, I mentioned there is a quest that you have to do for a crafting component called the Foreman's Quest. Now, the Foreman Quest is something that I still want to do a guide for as well. However, that revolved around this bug being fixed with the voice control bomb droid. Now that it's fixed, I can make that guide. So that's the 3rd video I think I've mentioned in this one so far that I have to do. We'll get there. Down to combat. Added check to disallow players to attack other players inside a building they are not permitted to enter, and this includes AoE attacks. Also added a check to disallow players applying poison, disease, heals, and enhancements to players inside a building they are not permitted to enter. This includes AoE applications. So obviously, you guys probably know I don't PvP very often, but I imagine that this is probably a really important change to those of you that do. So if you're inside a building and somebody's locked outside, they can't get you with AoE moves through the door. Sounds like a big deal to me. Fixed issue with PvP ratings, calculating incorrectly. Again, not something that I'm very familiar with, but to those of you that PvP, that's probably really important. Fixed the defense versus defenses calculation to always allow a chance for a state or posture to apply. And fixed armor piercing to be calculated against personal shield generators and adjusted the decay rate. Now, if I was someone who PvP'd, I want to dig into that and find out exactly what the new formulas were for these to see exactly what was changed and to how much. I'm sorry, I don't have those calculations for you guys right now. If I did, I would more than happily show them to you in the video, but I'm trying to get this out as fast as possible, and I haven't had time to really dig into these changes yet. Under crafting, this first one's pretty big. Ingredients can now be removed from an ingredient slot during ingredient input stage of crafting. Those of you that don't craft probably have no care in the world about that, just like those of you that don't PvP didn't care about the previous ones. But for those that do craft, this is a pretty big deal, because if you probably know if you accidentally add the wrong ingredient, the only way before to remove that from the screen was to close out the crafting tool completely and start over from the beginning. Now you can remove ingredients from the crafting screen and still, put the right one in. Also, fixed factories consuming all identical single components in a hopper at once. Down under the Force-sensitive village, the Aurelian plant, I'm not really that familiar with, but now can correctly go above very fast growth rate. Also corrected an issue with it showing dead when it was still alive. Fixed a couple bugs with Captain Sarguilo phases, so patrol points not despawning when arriving at the next one, and the Phase 3 mission base timers now resetting appropriately, as well as the Phase 3 bases ejecting players still within shield range when they are reset, and the gates no longer randomly persisting in the world when they have been destroyed. So a lot of Phase 3 Sarguilo bug fixes, which is awesome. Players also no longer to accept multiple Phase 4 Sarguilo missions. The intro quest not updating when looting the datapad from the Sith Shadow. The Sith Shadow not having the waypoint datapad as a loot item all the time. And added functionality to regrant Force-sensitive box upon login if it was accidentally surrendered. When they added the village, it was a huge update. They did a lot of work to get all that done. So it's, understandable that probably some things still had bugs and issues with it. So it's nice that they went back and polished up some of the things that might have gotten missed the first time. GCW fixed player base layouts to better reflect live. I'm not that familiar with those. I haven't messed with GCW on Basilisk, but I imagine those that do, that's going to be something you need to know. Terminals now spawn at random locations during the vulnerability period of a player base and despawn when the period has ended. This is something that I used to do on live, base busting. I haven't done a video on it, but number four things that I should probably do videos on. Adjusted placement of player base HQ terminals and other terminals within the bases. Corrected an issue in player bases with security terminal becoming bugged if the slice failed. This is another thing that people have complained about on the forums that now should be fixed. NPCs are now removed from the world when a player destroys a PvE player base. That's kind of funny, actually. All the base blows up and all the NPCs that are still fighting outside just kind of poof. Added a system message when a player breaks the perimeter of a PvP faction-based minefield, and Imperial Special Forces tactical centers now list correctly on the planetary map. So no more stealth Special Forces bases. Housing, cities, and structures. Waypoint to a structure is now removed when a structure is destroyed. However, this is not retroactive for existing structures. That's awesome, because to somebody who does a lot of harvesters or factories or just whatever, and you place a lot of things and you're constantly moving them, if you forget about the waypoints in your datapad eventually gets all cluttered with all these waypoints to structures that aren't even there anymore. So now you don't have to worry about deleting those. Corrected issue causing deleted players to not be removed from housing administrative lists. Added mail message when a building is destroyed due to decay. And this is a pretty big one. Player-owned hospitals will now correctly auto-heal health and action wounds. So for those that don't know, sitting in a med center or a hospital inside a NPC city previously would heal your health and action wounds very slowly over time. Well, now player-owned hospitals do the same thing, and that's great. Under items and loot, fixed armor condition decay rate to better reflect live. This one I know a little bit about because I did see forum post about it where they were saying previously armor condition decay rate was 10% and now it is 20%. That is double of what it was, which means keep an eye on your armor condition, guys, because you're going to start needing to replace your armor twice as often. Honestly, I think that's a good thing. It'll help keep the armor smith economy going. And lastly in that category, Rancor Bile will now have the accurate attributes on them when looted. I'm not sure if that means they're going to be better or worse than they previously were, but people that are farming Rancors, you'll notice a difference in the Rancor Bile that you loot. Under pets, incapacitated and corpsed mounts are no longer able to be mounted. Thank God. Also phrasing. Now let's go down to Miscellaneous. For my personal favorite update in this publish, added Bazaar and vendor text searches and min-max price filtering functionality. With a special note, Players must run the SWGEmu launcher in order to update the correct client UI file. So in order for this change to take effect, you need to launch the client. You might need to run a full scan if the client doesn't auto-update for you. You may have to reinstall some mods after you do that, but believe me guys, it's worth it. I'll give you guys a quick demonstration of what this is, though I think I might have to do a video on this. Maybe not. It should be pretty self-explanatory. So as you can see, upon opening the Bazaar auction window, we now have a new panel in the bottom left here that says crafted item name filter. We also have a minimum price filter and a maximum price filter. You can search just like you could normally before. So let's say we want to do a search for, I don't know, holocrons. We're gonna make sure I'm gonna put galaxy, entire galaxy in the location filter. I'm gonna type in holocron and hit enter, and nothing comes up. Now, I'm gonna say I played around with this a little bit earlier and noticed that there are some small bugs still with the search feature. All right, so it doesn't appear to be any on the Bazaar, but let's go to vendor location, do entire galaxy, and try it that way. And here we go. Look, it doesn't matter what category we select, and this is actually one of the issues I think that is going to come up. We'll see exactly how this works, but pretty much you can see we have a bunch of holocrons here. This one is going to be hard to tell if... Yeah, so there appears to be a bug right now where if there's multiple pages of items, you can only see the first page. So notice how this Sith holocron here is 888 meters away from me. No matter how many times I change the pages, that same bid is always there. You can see actually nothing is changing. As many times as I change pages, we're still just looking at the first page of items. So they might have a few bugs to work out with this, but I wouldn't fault them for it. This is already an amazing implementation. Just the fact that it works to the degree that it already does is kind of a big thing. Something else that I did notice that I want to point out is, let's say I want to search for swoops. You can see here if I type swoop in and I'm on the weapon power up category, we're getting a swoop helmet. Now, I don't know why the game is considering a swoop helmet a weapon power-up, but maybe that's the only thing that has swoop in the name, right? Like, maybe that's the reason it's popping up is because the categories don't matter. Well, unfortunately, that's not true either, because if I click deed, now we get all the swoop deeds that are being sold here in Mos Eisley. We also still have the swoop helmet. So if you click another category, like if I go to installation, now we don't get the vehicle deeds, but now we have a factory crate of swoops. And you can see if I switch between different categories, sometimes we get the helmet, sometimes we get the helmet and the factory crate, sometimes we don't get anything. There's the helmet, there's nothing, there's the factory crate, there's the factory crate, there's the factory crate and the helmet under clothing. But in order to get the deeds, we actually have to click deed. So I'm sure somebody's going to sit down and, you know, crack the riddle as to what's going on here behind the scenes. But there are a couple kinks that need to be worked out with this. But holy crap, am I glad that it's in the game. Even in the current state, I would be happy with it. Just to know that if there's like a specific thing that I'm looking for, I don't have to dig through all these different subcategories to find it. Usually, I should be able to just find it by typing in the name and clicking on the main category. So, great job, guys, to all your hard work for getting this implemented, even with the bugs that it's got. But I don't expect those bugs to be there forever, so keep up the good work. All right, back to the notes. We have fixed an issue with player trade window if one party, this I think this is supposed to say, unchecks the accept box. I have tried trading with players in the past where for some reason the trade window glitches out and one person shows it accepted, the other person shows it not. So hopefully, I think that's what issue that is, and now it's fixed. Random player name generator will no longer generate names already used. And this is kind of a big one. Deleted character names now usable 15 minutes after deletion. Ironically, if that issue didn't exist, my very, very, very first SWGEmu video from over 6 years ago would not have ended the way that it did. Alright, so our last step, we need to make a name for our character. Instead of naming him Mobius, we're going to use another name. We'll use the name Phenodin, spelled Phenodin. We'll leave the surname off, and we'll go with this. What? The name is already taken. Well, that's disappointing. And Burst Run's ham cost is now modified by the player's secondary stats. So the higher your secondary stats are, the less health action in mind it'll actually cost you to Burst Run. Going into the professions, removed the action cost from melee weapon power-up primary stats. For bounty hunters, added player Jedi bounty payout increase for force-ranked Jedi, so have at 'em. On that note, I would like to take this opportunity to mention that I have yet to be killed by a bounty hunter on my Jedi toon. That may or may not have anything to do with the fact that I haven't played on my Jedi toon for the last 4 months, but yeah, I'm still undefeated. It also looks like they did some changes to the Fast Blast ability, correctly divide max damage evenly over health action in mind, and adjusted its base attack multiplier to better reflect live. A couple changes to Chef, also changed to Ormachek, now correctly gives its experience bonus. To Commando, grenades, fixed grenades not bypassing Jedi Saber block, so now Commandos can use, and also fixed heavy and consumable weapons ignoring Saber block. So now that's working correctly. Droid Engineer fixed ambient droid pet sounds for most droid pets. I really wish they were specific on whether or not they raised or lowered the volume, or I don't know what they did to fix the ambient droid pet sounds. I hope we just don't hear droids chirping all damn day now. One big change in our entertainer that I like, fixed the /stop listen command to function without a target or parameter. So now if you're listening to an entertainer and you want to do the your /stop listen command, you don't need to have them targeted or include their name, which is nice. And a lot of changes to Jedi, with, of course, the first big bonus added, the Force ranking system. Talk about a video that needs to be done. The Force ranking system is basically what allows Jedi to go beyond the rank of Jedi Knight and become Guardians or Masters, I think Sentinels. To be honest with you, I don't know all of the different ranks there are, but there's quite a few. And people are already, in the past day since Publish 10 has been live, they're already fight clubbing their way to the top. So we'll see how that goes. There are a lot of changes here added that are pretty specific to the FRS. Added the ability to recover Jedi items from the Enclave voting terminal, the Show Council rank command, fixed players unable to restart the Night Trials after dropping the rank member, and then Jedi Knight skill boxes. I'm not going to read everything here under Jedi because this doesn't apply to people that aren't interested really in the FRS. Actually, not all of these are FRS related. Fixed a bug on the Spice Mom Padawan trial, which I haven't done the Padawan trials yet either. I do want to bring up this line here, Jedi now gain visibility when entering combat with a lightsaber. This was already brought up on the forums and then Discord as a point of question. Apparently this was actually not a change in the publish. This was something that they hot fixed during the past couple months. It does not mean the Jedi now gain visibility when entering with a combat with a lightsaber whenever. It's when you're within 32 meters of a humanoid NPC or player, just like it's supposed to be. So don't get scared by this line. Nothing has actually changed that we will notice since that hotfix was pushed a couple months ago. They changed a couple of abilities, corrected modifier and force resist, refactored Jedi force powers, fixed Force Weaken to function closer to live, fixed Force Intimidate 2 area of effect, has their resistance states and Jedi state defenses calculated separately. So there are a lot of changes to Jedi. If you have a Jedi, you should really open these and read over these closely to see which ones are going to impact you specifically. Under Politician, fixed an issue with city decorations not being able to be placed again after being picked up. That one has actually already personally affected my guild, the Swipe Guild, on Talus. We can already confirm that that bug has been fixed. It works for us now, so that's good. For Rangers and Scout, fix the creature knowledge skill requirement to display creature difficulty level in the examine window. So now, if your creature knowledge skill is high enough, you can actually see exactly what difficulty level creatures are. Squad leaders will now receive their own passive group buffs. And for Terraskasi, fixed an issue with defense acuity not properly working as a secondary defense. So now TKs are even more defensive than they used to be. And that's it. That's Publish 10 in a nutshell, guys. Now, I did talk a little bit with one of the devs just to kind of see maybe what's on the horizon or if there's anything else that they may wanted me to include in this video. And one big thing that they seem to keep talking about is how a lot of the behind-the-scenes changes they've done for this publish are going to help expedite the pushing fixes and pushing patches in the future. So now that they have TC Prime up, they can make changes on Nova, play with things on Nova, then copy Basilisk over to Prime, let things run on Prime to see how they react in a Basilisk environment without actually pushing them to Basilisk. So I think that's really important to know that while there may not be any major, like Publish 9 added the Village, previous publishes added like the Death Watch Bunker, or these big set pieces that are really kind of like new things to try. While this publish might not have those, it doesn't mean you shouldn't get excited for it. You guys have to understand how close we actually are to having a completed ground game. On that note, let's take a look at the project status list, which, just as a note, has not been updated since Publish 9 came out, so this still has to be changed for Publish 10. But what's implemented in the SWGEmu project? Things in green have been implemented and are usable. Orange has been partially implemented, mostly usable. And red means the feature is currently in the planning or development stage. If we scroll through this, we have skills and skill mods. That's just because there's some abilities, I think, like Rifleman's Conceal Shot, maybe a couple other things that aren't working all the way. Guild Administration, I guess, might have some features missing. Jump to Light Speed, obviously, is the big one. But if we go down through here, look, like, quests, 99% complete. FRS is now going to be green. Ham updates, damage and attack costs, like that stuff's always going to need tweaking. Line of sight, behavior tree with AI implementation. The AI is a big thing that they're probably going to be focusing on in Publish 11. Combat skills that require AI. There is the thing that they've been talking about a lot is having to do this AI rewrite. I think the AI code was written in C++, and it's having issues working together well with the Lua code. So this is probably going to be the focus for Publish 11. Granted, this is my speculation. I'm not a team member, so take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. But after that, like, everything else is green, guys. Obviously Shipwright, because that's part of JTL. Oh, and gambling. Okay, so the gambling machines need to be written. So, like, there's, in the hotels, there's a couple, like, gambling machines. And then here you can see the list of abilities. Yes, okay, so Conceal Shot is one of them. There are a couple other things that need to be fine-tuned, but, like, that's it, guys. We're almost done. Look at all this green. I don't know about you guys, but I've been playing this game for 6 years. And I remember coming to this page, and the majority of this stuff was orange, with a lot more red. Now, like, that's amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 items, not even, because this is green. Yeah, okay. We're super close, guys. I don't know how else to say it. We're almost there. So that's it. Publish 10's here. On the horizon, we have an AI rewrite that's going to allow the implementation of the Imperial Crackdown. Cries of Alderaan is something that they're going to be doing, I believe. The gambling machines again. And then whatever bug fixes and tweaks they need to do to wrap things up. And then, guys, at some time after that, you're going to see a really happy Mobius take to the skies in his X-Wing. And it's going to be glorious. But that's all I got for now. I'm going to let you guys go with this Dancing Ithorian behind me, because there's really nothing else I could say to tie things up any better than that. So thank you guys for watching. Mobius1 here, and Bonimus the Dancing Ithorian. And at least I will see you in the next one.